News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Brought to you by Turbo Launch Trampolines. The problem with most trampolines is that you can only bounce 4 or 5 feet into the air. But imagine the fun if you could bounce 75 feet in the air. When you bring home a Turbo Launch trampoline, we guarantee that once your children step back onto solid ground, they will never accuse you of being boring again. The sky really is the limit with Turbo Launch trampolines.
Good morning. This is Tool Talk Radio on News Talk 98.9, coming to you from the lovely Brown Refrigeration Studios. And if you'd like to give us a call or a text, you can reach us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. This is Alan Gilbreth, and this morning I'm being joined by my cohort in crime, Mr. Brandon Olmsted.
How are we doing today, Alan?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you?
I'm not supposed to be up this early normally, but, you know, Joe had to go chase the Cubs again. So.
Yeah, I thought there was a restraining order.
Hey, those things expire. Keep an eye on your records, guys.
All right. Well, you know what? We're loose with Tool Talk Radio today.
Which is not a normal, front for me. When it comes down to building things, I go, Alan, Joe, how do I do this?
Well,
this would be more like Tool Talk 101.
It's probably going to be that way today because we've got a lot of interesting topics to dive into because I want to get into one of your favorite topics. I want to get into Tool Talk for pets.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big animal guy. I love dogs. I love cats. I don't have cats, but, I still love them all.
Plenty of people with them.
Yeah.
Birds, other critters, and that type of thing.
Turtles.
Among so many others. We're also going to dive into, one of our favorite topics, the season.
Oh, absolutely. We're getting into fall. There's so many great things about fall, including, the mini season within it, which is spooky season. So anything Halloween is, it's right up our alley.
Oh, yeah.
Joe doesn't let us talk about it as much. He looks at us funny.
And that's why we're going to go to a salute that has a little something to do with the season.
And now, Tool Talk Radio's weekly salute.
Throughout history, illumination has been an issue.
Yes.
Because it gets dark. We don't see so good in the dark.
That's true. I have a lot of hard times doing that.
So one of the great things has been, how to find your way through the darkness.
I like fire.
Fire.
Personally, not only does fire help you find your way, but it gets things out of your way.
On occasion. But there is a slight problem. How do you carry that fire?
Magic. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the Tool Show, not the Geek Show. I'm sorry.
Yep, different show. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the capabilities of, our dear friend visiting the Cubs. Because in his likeness, you can carve a vegetable head.
I thought Joe was a potato head.
Or a turnip.
Okay.
Ooh, in this case.
I think I know where we're going.
We're heading for jack-o'-lanterns.
Yes.
All right.
Or in Tool Talk terms, Joe-a-lanterns.
Joe-a-lanterns, that's correct. All right, let's go back in time a little bit to Pete Boggs. Let's go to Ireland, Scotland, and a few places like that.
I think it's great because Pete Boggs, it's not only does it sound like a place you would go, it also sounds like a cub that Joe would chase.
Yeah, I was about to say, it sounds like a baseball player.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's Pete Boggs.
Yeah.
Joe'll make a bat for him. So
you got a jack-o'-lantern face on it.
You got a little face on there. All right. So, we had a little something called a will-o'-wisp, or they were often referred to as jack-o'-lanterns.
Right.
And these were little sparkles of light that appeared out in the marshes, the mist. A
lot of times attributed to a spectral energy, even though it was really just, if anybody here has heard about
swamp gas.
It's swamp gas.
It's swamp gas. Honestly, it was swamp gas. There's also the legend of Stingy Jack.
Okay, I haven't heard this one.
The legend of Stingy Jack was a very stingy gentleman who wound up having libations with the, the leader of the underworld.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Drinks
stingy.
with the devil.
He's stingy. It didn't go well.
I could see a problem.
So he wound up cursed to wander the earth with only a turnip to light his way.
Ah.
So thus little will-o'-wisp walking through the woods.
Okay.
So, welcome to the carving of, fruit to be a lantern.
Because the inside of fruit doesn't catch fire.
Bingo. And a lot of things were used over the years. Turnips, pumpkins, gourds, anything where you could get a small amount of wax, a wick, and now you actually had the ability to carry something. And of course, people are people.
Yes.
So I'm sure the very first lanterns were quite utilitarian. Were a little gourd, a little wax in the bottom, a wick, and a little round hole in it, so it made an image.
Right. And if you angle that hole correctly, it will project farther.
And it does.
Yes.
Much to our surprise. And then, of course, you begin adding lenses and glass and things like that to it, and you move up into modern lanterns.
Right.
But people being people and people having the ability to carve things began putting happy faces and goofy faces and strange designs.
It was modern day graffiti.
It was.
It was old school graffiti, but yeah.
It had to be done.
Yeah.
So our salute today is to anybody carving things that light your way, illumination, as you will.
Yeah, I just want to say watermelon look good, but they don't last as long.
No, a little soggy. Kind of put out your candle in there. So So welcome to this edition of Tool Talk Radio on the News Talk 98.9. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after this break.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I'm describing a person, not something complicated like a wooden sailing ship or proper dovetail technique.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Good morning. This is Tool Talk Radio with going to be Allan and Brandon today.
Yeah.
All righty. We're coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. And Brandon, it is a seasonal change right now.
It really is. First of all, let's just talk about the wonderful weather we're experiencing at this exact moment. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, for those of you not listening in the Mid-South, we happen to be broadcasting out of Memphis, Tennessee, and there are certain times of the year where being in the South is challenging, and there are other times of the year where it is absolutely spectacular.
Those are 4 weeks on either side of the year.
Yep.
The rest of the time is challenging.
But right now,
we're in the sweet spot.
Yeah, it's
and of course, with it being the sweet spot, we all want to be outside more.
Yes,
including our fur children.
Yes, they do. First thing I'm going to pick on is, since you brought up the fur children, let's bring up filtration.
Filtration.
Yes. So I'm going to pick on Brown. I'm going to pick on Brown Refrigeration for just a moment, because they do HVAC work.
They've always been so good to us. Why are we picking on them?
Well, I've got them on speed dial. Trust me. Larry Brown and the guys do a fantastic job. But we're going to throw in at this point, right now is an excellent time to do those fall filter changes.
Yes. Which that's a reminder that I have to do mine later this afternoon.
Yeah, I was kind of like, Brandon, I'm looking dead at you going, you need to get those filters changed.
It's a whole lot easier with just one pup at the moment than it used to be. I used to have to do them every 4 weeks, which they say 6. No, all the time. But yeah, I don't understand how my dog can shed enough to make 4 dogs, and it all ends up in my air conditioning unit.
And you still have, and the dog still has hair.
Yes, he does.
Amazingly, never seems to run out of hair. So this is a little cautionary tale for everybody that has a pet, and most people do. They got a dog or a cat or multiples. Right now is a fantastic time to get out there and let's go check those air filters. Yeah. Let's make sure things are nice and clean and in good working order. We've had I'm not going to say a bad summer. We've had a challenging summer here and there.
Yeah, definitely. The AC units have been working overtime. Right. And that's another thing that people seem to forget to look at is the outdoor unit. If your dogs spend a lot of time in your backyard or your side yard, wherever your unit is, they tend to get, they get clogged with the dog hair too. And that can lead to, if you don't take care of that, that leads to extremely expensive repairs.
Well, yeah, we don't want to damage a coil,
right,
or anything like that. However, of getting out there, especially now that the weather is very pleasant.
Yes.
Not, we don't have a heat index today of 105. It's really quite nice. Of not a bad time to turn off the unit, get the water hose, clean out the fins, and please, for heaven's sake, don't think it's time to break out the power sprayer.
Absolutely not. Never use a power washer on your AC unit. It's a bad idea.
Professionals like our buddies at
they
Brown
have
Refrigeration,
they have amazing
special equipment to do that.
They have calibrated tools that are designed to take care of all the muck and grime that may be in there without damaging the system.
Right.
You don't.
Yeah.
The thing you bought at Home Depot may take the siding off the house. Don't use it on the AC unit.
It's and the one thing I'm going to throw in also, not a bad time to look at your windows.
Yeah.
Because right now things are very, very pleasant. It's nice to be outside. It's nice to get out there now and go check the caulking around the window.
Yes.
You can get out there and give it a quick eyeball. Again, we just got done with summer. We're heading into the next 2 or 3 months of really pleasant weather. But, it's the wonderful thing about the running joke about the Mid-South. If you don't like the weather, stick around. It's going to change.
Yes. In 15 minutes.
It can that quickly.
And if you don't get out there now while it's nice out, the first thing you're going to think of is, man, that is a really deadly chill coming through that window. Why didn't I do it then? It's like, do it now while we are beating you about the head for it.
And since we're going to kind of theme this around our little furry, finned, and slimy friends,
yes,
let's talk about the fence.
I don't want to talk about the fence.
You are a dog owner.
I'm a dog owner. Yes.
So let's talk about fences for a minute.
Okay.
What do you got?
Okay, so on my back and sides, it's wood.
Okay.
But my front gate is chain link.
Okay.
Chain link covered in morning glories as far as the eye can see.
Okay.
Which means you still can't see in my backyard. The wood on my wooden fence, it's gotten its age in. It's like within the next year or so, I'm gonna have to replace it. You're starting to see the warping.
Okay.
On the edges. But I also luckily have a lazy dog at this point. But
Excellent.
I have had issues with dogs who like to jump a chain link fence, who like to get out of their penned area. And it's maddening. It's like you go out there and it's like, I don't want to put my dog on a lead, because
right.
you never know, it's like they get tangled up, they get out there for too long. But at the same time, you don't want them being able to get out. It's a big worry here in the Mid-South especially, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus or anything, but there are a lot of stray roaming animals, and many of them are aggressive. They
can be, yes.
And so, it's like, I have friends who have cats who are scared to let their cats even leave, their apartments or their houses because of that same situation. And I have even found dogs. In fact, the dog I have now was an escapee from another home that kept ending up in my backyard.
So you got adopted.
So I got adopted. That's
you
true.
Adopted.
That's true. We eventually had to go meet with the guy and go. He's like, he prefers to be there. So we did paperwork and everything to make sure he was legally ours. But he was a jumper. He's not a jumper anymore. I don't know how. I guess he just feels comfortable with us.
He's old now.
No, not really.
Not really. He just feels no reason to jump anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So that's going to be our first little tool talk tip for the day.
Right.
Is let's look at, before we go get a pet.
Right.
Or, somebody at work, runs over and says, you really need one of these.
Or somebody goes, we just had puppies. You should have one or maybe two.
And they're really
or
cute.
Kittens. They are adorable.
They're adorable.
And you're thinking, oh, yeah, especially if you're, right now with a lot of people still remote working from home, it's like their own need of a companion.
So this is where we're going to start with the proper fence for the proper pet. So if you have a very energetic breed of dog,
yes,
you're going to need a little better fencing.
Yes.
Make sure it's in good shape.
And a pet run.
And that is a topic to bring in. Do we, if you have good fencing and that type of stuff, do you need a pet run or an encased area for your pet?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay. All right. Let's go case in point. Give me. So we've got that beautiful garden on one side of the yard,
right? And
we just adopted. His nickname is Digger.
Yeah, he's a bird dog. He's after everything.
So he's not going to respect the boundaries of your okra.
No.
He's going to charge right through it. Forget the pumpkins. Give up on the sweet potatoes.
You won't have to worry about the squirrels getting into your garden, but the dog will trample on everything.
Okay. So this is a good case of where we possibly need to, admit our lifestyle.
Yeah.
All right. We want a big garden, but we also want our cute little dog. So it may be necessary to set up a specific area or separate the yard for the dog.
That's true. That's absolutely true. My mother had Great Pyrenees, big giant floofy things.
That's a big dog.
And yeah, there was no growing of flowers or anything in the backyard.
Oh, right. Well, I'm just picturing this gigantic bear-like dog wandering through the daisies.
And there were two of them.
And there was a pair of them. All right. Well, guys, come on back to News Talk 98.9 after the break, and we're going to talk a little bit more about taking care of our furry friends in the fall.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allen.
Call Poison Control if you're bit by a spider. But check that it's covered by your healthcare provider.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I thought we were nerdy over on Geek Tank.
Oh, yeah. All right. This is Allan and Brandon over here at News Talk 98.9, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. And if you guys would like to give us a call or a text, feel free to get in touch with us at 901-683-0989 on the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline. So we're talking about our fur children, and we've gotten a little bit into the air conditioning. Change your filters, check up on your stuff. Please do not use the pressure washer. Also, I'm going to throw in, don't use the pressure washer on the windows either. It's every fall I get those calls.
Well, the thing is you think, well, no one would do that, but then there's some Clark Griswolds out there.
I get the call. You get the call, and it's usually from a family member,
right?
That when you told Bob not to do this, well, yeah. Well, let me guess. Bob just went out and did it. Yeah. So, we've got these panes of glass that got blown into the bedroom. And so pressure washers are indeed wonderful items. You just have to use them very judiciously.
Yeah. And you got to, seriously, though, pay close attention when you are, because I've been hit in the foot with one by someone who was not paying attention to what they were doing. It'll put a hole in your foot.
Yeah,
really quick. I got a scar.
Yeah, they're designed to yank gum clear off a sidewalk, so be careful with those things. So today we're kind of wandering around into the wonders of fall is here. The house, how we're going to be looking at our house and our yards are changing, because now we're going to be worried more about massive temperature swings.
Yes.
And this is kind of a big deal, ladies and gentlemen, of when you start having 80-degree days to lower 60-degree nights, you're getting that big shift.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just went into fantasy land right then. It's like,
okay,
that just sounds amazing.
So where'd you wander off to?
Just happy fall days.
Happy fall days. Well, the slight problem to happy fall days is a lot of expansion and contraction.
Yes.
So this is the time of year, and it ties into our little Halloween, a little bit of a Halloween theme for you and I, you'll notice early spring, moving from summer into fall, your house creaks more.
Yes.
It makes more noise.
The wonderful sound of wood expanding.
and shrinking and back and forth. And again, this is where the caulk talk is going to start. It's time to go back and check this stuff because things do expand and contract.
Yeah, and loose panes and the like are not things you want to deal with in the midst of the extreme heat
don't
later
wait until
on.
November, right?
And you definitely don't want them to, when the snow starts showing up, or in our case, slush. Yeah.
When it starts getting a little damp out there,
a little nippy,
right? So again, beautiful time of the year to go take that little walk around the house, and let's check it out. We're gonna expand that walk around the house now to start talking about the pet dog,
right?
The fence,
yes.
Do we need some fence repairs? What kind of repairs do you need?
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking all summer long about lumber supplies,
right?
And they've been kind of hot and cold, and they've been coming and going.
Prices are getting a little bit better, but it's kind of slow go.
The prices are definitely better.
Yeah.
And I will say this, as far as like fence slats and that type of thing goes for your boxwood fence, that, there are pretty good supplies right now.
Right.
Just went by a big box store yesterday, and there was, a couple of nice sized pallets right there. So not a shortage right now. This time last year, good luck.
Yeah. So nothing.
So do you need a new fence? Do you need a new fence board? I'm going to throw in the age-old adage of a stitch in time saves 9.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got one or two creaky-looking boards, well, let's go ahead and get them down, and let's get a couple of new fresh ones up. If you really don't like the fresh board look, you can always cheat and stain it a little bit and make it look like the rest of the fence. I've actually had people had me do that.
I'm a big fan of colored fences anyway. I like natural wood on various things, but my fence I want it to be uniform.
Right.
Growing up, that was one of the things that my dad kind of put into me was it's like fixing the fence. My fence in Fraser had so many extra nails in it because I had a dog that liked to kick boards out and then escape. Oh. Again, this is still this is me and dogs. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't that he wanted to go anywhere. He just liked the front yard. The front yard is dangerous. That's where all everybody's cars come past, and that's what he liked to chase. So
okay, we don't want the dog.
We don't want the dog chasing.
Cars.
Yeah,
right.
Because they can't drive. They can't do anything once they catch them anyway. So
yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to throw a few Joe jokes in there.
Well, being a good time to go around and check the fence of excellent before it gets too wet, too hot, too cold, whatever. It's a beautiful time of year. You're going to get the weed eater out anyway. You're going to be edging. Let's go ahead and double check a few things. One thing that I do like to do periodically is if you have a tomato stake or something around, go around and just kind of tap on it a little bit. I don't mean go Moby Dick on the thing and start stabbing it, but a little tap here and there will let you know how solid your wood still is.
Right.
Because you've said fences do age.
Yeah. And of course, with us talking about wood, expanding and contracting, with the heat, those little spots where, your nails have been driven in, that gets loose.
They do.
And if like you said with the tomato stake, if you tap it and your fence kind of flaps away from the bottom rung, you might want to look into repairing that.
Yeah, it's time to.
We've also had a lot of high winds in our area here in the Mid-South. Very recently, it led to me having to replace my my roof with our buddies over at Big M, which phenomenal job. I had to say, but. Now I'm checking things like, my fences, just, the various other things hanging from that. I got a lot of wind chimes, and they've started to pull away from, their moorings. They've been there for 15 years, but
okay.
I even had to check, my mailbox recently because it was leaning. So definitely check your fences because the last thing you want is, half your fence to fall in on and then all your critters escape, or new critters that you don't really want decide to take up residency in your yard.
Okay, well, there's an interesting twist on this. All right, well, you just had I know for a fact you just had a new roof put on.
Right.
All right, and it was our buddies over at Big M Roofing.
Yeah.
So
Jay Hill's just everything. Just
okay.
boom.
So how was the experience?
Well, He took care of my roof. It was done in less than 8 hours. They took care of the roof on my house and on my shed. I didn't even think about doing the shed until he mentioned it. And
Okay.
And what's great is how well he works with your insurance adjusters and everything. It was a very painless experience, and now I've got a gorgeous roof, and all I can think of is I need to paint the house now.
Yep.
I need to make everything else, up to snuff, because the roof is great. But it's like I can't. There is absolutely no complaints working with these guys.
Okay, and as we love to say, water is the enemy.
Yes.
Water is always the enemy. So the roof is good.
The roof is good.
You don't have squirrels in the case of Joe.
No roof rats.
So the squirrels are no holes.
No holes. No.
Everything's all seized up, nice and good. So
yeah.
So the fence is not just for keeping your critters in. It can be for keeping
other
some
critters
out.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to dive a little deeper into who you want to let in and who you don't want to let in here in just a minute.
I've got a list.
You got a list there.
Oh, we're talking about animals.
Yes. Well, this is News Talk 98.9 on the Roar of Memphis. We're broadcasting from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. And if you'd like to give us a call at 901-683-0989, or better yet, give us a text. And even better yet, give us a text with some pictures.
Oh, yes.
Love the pictures. And that is on the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I've been going door to door looking for fire hazards. Mind if I give your place a little inspection?
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Is it bad that I can see Fire Marshal Bill doing that in my brain still?
Yeah, I can still see him plain as day. Well, this is News Talk 98.9 coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. If you'd like to give us a call or a text, get in touch with us at 901-683-0989 on the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline. Guys, we love text and we love pictures. We'd like to see your triumphs and your tribulations.
I want to see the damage your dog's done to your garden.
Because
you already put it on Facebook as a dog shaming picture.
I say, and today it is an awesome day to show off those pets. So, wow. And of course, during the break, we're of course talking about all of the different people we know with all the different creatures. And it's basically the zoo.
It really is. I mean, we have friends who actually work at the zoo who,
Yeah, we do. When we can actually say, well, he has a bear visiting. It's actually not an exaggeration.
No, it's a
baby
bear,
and it's actually visiting.
Which is one of the things I want to try and keep out of my yard.
Yeah, well, talking. All right. Again, I go back to my friends that live in the Northeast.
Right.
Starting in Pennsylvania, especially my friends that live in kind of rural Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
When you have to call somebody to come look under your deck to make sure you don't have a bear, that really puts wildlife problems in perspective for you.
It's true. But luckily, I've never had that problem. My biggest problems are usually raccoons or, the occasional dog that doesn't actually belong there.
Well, that's all right. Well, let's go over some of our Mid-South critters.
Yeah.
So, all right. So to date, I don't know that they actually use tools.
They might.
Some of them I have some serious doubts.
When I think of where I have actually seen raccoons and squirrels get into, I could totally see them getting the acetylene torch out and burrowing through metal.
Oh, it's so easily. All right. Well, let's talk about some of the new ones I've seen. Recently, I've noticed we've had a lot of raptors, and these would be birds of prey.
Yes.
I've noticed a lot of what are called kites, which are these smaller ones.
Okay.
You'll hear them crying around. I'm not so worried about one of them picking up your dog and running off with it.
No, but there have been a lot of hawks around lately.
It is also hawk migration season, so the red-tailed hawks no longer go around town.
No, they
come
through.
right on through.
Yeah.
And if you have little bitty tiny pets,
they will pick them up and run off with them.
They think they're little tiny snacks. So be careful there. I have also seen quite a few rabbits this year.
which I was a little shocked about. I've seen a few that just wild running through my neighborhood, and it's like, this isn't the place. People will eat you here.
Well, and they're cottontails.
Yeah.
Which is a nice little brushland and woodland rabbit. But I have seen a number of them, including my own backyard.
Oh, they're after your vegetables.
Well, I think they were having a good time under the blueberry bushes. That's where I kept seeing them pop out of. So it was kind of fun to look in the backyard. And
when
there's
I think
a
of
rabbit.
When I think about what you guys do with the blueberries, I could see you finding a way to infuse that directly into the bush, and I'd probably have a good time under there too.
Well, the rabbit didn't look like he was leaving. Another one that we have coming into town, we now have armadillos.
Yes, and they are a road hazard.
Not only a road hazard, but they are also basically living rototillers.
They will destroy.
They can dig, folks. Oh my gosh, can they dig? You just had that new set of bushes put in, and the next day the whole thing looks like somebody rototilled it. You got an armadillo.
How was that? Your first experience with a Mid-South armadillo. Being from Texas and being used to the giant ones that you had. Well,
several years ago, actually, a friend of mine called me and was kind of like, all right, we caught this thing in the backyard. What the bejesus is this thing?
It looks like what happens if a dinosaur had a kid with a roly-poly. I don't know what it is.
I got there, I started giggling, and I told him, I said, well, that's called possum on the half shell. It's an armored, creature. And I'm like, well, that's a live armadillo. And everybody's kind of like, and I was like, what, have y'all never seen a live one before? And I'm like, well, we've seen them on the side of the road dead on occasion. Yeah. And then they're kind of like, well, are they really stupid? And I'm like, no, they're armored.
They're like, you can't hurt me.
Well, so they have no respect for a car, so they have a tendency to wander in traffic because they're armored. They have little plating on them, and they love to eat grubs, worms, stuff like that. Yeah. But they will also be attracted to leaving food out overnight.
Okay.
Because they're not opposed to packing down a little Alpo or some Friskies. If you left it out at night, critters will show up and help your pet eat it.
Right.
So armadillos, be careful around them. They can carry diseases that can jump to humans. Yeah. Just letting people know.
They're salmonella carriers like the turtles are, right?
They can. Okay. They can be because of the soil and everything they play with. Okay. Another one that I saw recently actually in the Walnut Grove area, I saw a fox.
You saw a fox. There used to be a fox.
Don't see many of them. No. Don't see many.
There used to be a fox that lived at the big Memorial Garden Cemetery off of Poplar.
Right.
And back when we were doing shows elsewhere, that's where I would stop and have my breakfast, and I'd usually end up sharing it with the fox. Okay. Because he was very, very social. But when they expanded, he left.
Okay. Yeah. So armadillos. Then of course our favorite, the possum.
Yes.
All right, people, if you have a possum, I'm going to tell you, if possible, just leave it alone.
Yeah.
They really don't want to have anything to do with you. But they eat ticks.
Yes.
They are great vermin removers. So if it's not bothering you and it's not getting into anything, that would be the one that I would say, really, just leave it alone.
And it is, when you find an animal like this that's ending up in your property, on your property, do a little research. Don't freak out. Don't run outside with the pellet gun, because
it's not a giant rat.
It's not.
It's not an attractive animal.
But
I'll freely admit, not an attractive animal.
But it can be very beneficial to you on your property.
They get rid of vermin and critters that you don't want.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, now we're going to get to the big three. We got a lot of deer.
We do, and
we have a lot of deer. That is the shocking part.
And recently, in places that you don't expect, out here in Memphis, everybody knows that you're careful on Walnut Grove when you're going between Shelby Farms and the Agri Center, because they're going to be everywhere. But nobody tells you to keep an eye out in the corporate parking lot where you may find 2 or 3 early in the morning who are feasting on trash that someone has thrown out, and they have no respect for the fact that that may be your employee of the month parking space.
No. Of my most recent one was just a couple of weeks ago, pulling into my favorite paint store.
Right.
And waiting for Bambi to wander out of the parking spot.
Yeah.
I was there a little early. Apparently he would still had the spot reserved.
Right.
Not what I expected to see at the paint store.
No.
Just throwing out there. Of
something else that's gotten really bad, especially in the suburbs around here, are coyotes.
I haven't seen any this year.
I've seen a couple, and people have been posting about, being careful with your animals because the coyotes are out, especially in Bartlett.
All right. We're going to talk a little more about that when we come back. This is News Talk 98.9, and we'll see you in a minute.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allen.
Alrighty, this is News Talk 98.9. This is Allan and Brandon coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. If you'd like to give us a call, reach us at 901-683-0989 on the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline. Better yet, send us a text and throw in a couple of pictures, and we'd love to see what your favorite pet has done to your yard. Just because we've all got those stories.
It could be your least favorite pet.
Well, he is usually when he gets hold of the garden. So, part of what we're talking about here is it's fall. It's a great time to start doing some maintenance.
Right.
Great time to check on your air conditioning. Great time to look at filters, check the fence, that type of thing. One of the interesting side effects right now, if you're trying to get everything together, our buddies over at Weikart Realtor Benchmark would be more than happy to help you sell that house. Because, well, it is kind of that marketplace right now.
You don't really ever think of home selling as a seasonal thing, but we've watched the market. Now's the time.
The weather gets really nice. People like to go shopping. People like to get out and go look. And our buddies over at Weikart Realtor Benchmark love to tell you that it is quick, easy, and fun.
I'm one of those guys who loves an open house.
Mm-hmm.
I know even if I'm not in the market, sometimes you just want to know what your neighbors had.
Yeah, it's
I'm nosy that way.
Not a bad idea, and of course, as we move into fall, all the home shows will be coming up.
Oh,
and as a matter of fact, next Saturday, Cooper Young Festival.
Oh, Cooper Young Festival. We'll be there.
We will be there. Yes, you can come out and meet Brandon, myself, and Joe.
Yep.
We will all be present.
I'm
not sure that's a selling point.
If you want, I'm going to do it this way. If you've ever wanted to throw a tomato at one of us, we won't. Yeah,
you'll have us all in one booth.
There you go.
So, but it's
Alan's going to sell tomatoes for that reason.
I love the booth for the tomatoes across the street there. It's a lot of fun as we dive into this time of year. Joe loves to work outside.
Yes,
he does. Decks and pergolas, and one of the hot things that he got to do for a while and still gets to do is docks.
Yeah, I mean, I would have never really thought of this area, especially, but yeah, there's a lot of houses that have docks, and he was just talking about how great it was to be out by the water, and all I could think was Joe's going to lose all his tools.
Yeah, well, there are so many hammers at the bottom of local lakes now that he will never confess to. One of the things that happens to me is I wind up giving big box store lessons.
Okay.
And this is where being in the industry, you just kind of keep constantly accumulating knowledge.
Right.
So you use this kind of caulk for that, you use that blade for this, you've done, you keep, as you do jobs, you just keep accumulating tools.
Right,
obviously, accumulating different substances.
And then when you have friends who have accumulated new tools, they'll go, hey, you don't have one of these. You should have this.
You need one of these. Yeah. Well, that'll bring us to a must-have item of the week. So Joe usually goes, Allan, what am I holding? So this time I can look at you and go, Brandon, what am I holding?
Well, in my world, you're holding something that you throw at people who are trying to get into your house, but in the real world, that is a crescent wrench.
Better known as the monkey wrench and or adjustable wrench. Of folks, if you're just getting started out or you're just getting that little toolkit together, this is mind-bogglingly one of the most useful wrenches you will ever own.
I've got 4, and I'm not even a tool guy.
Yeah, so the big thing is it is adjustable, which means it fits pert near everything.
Yep.
Metric, imperial, doesn't matter.
And the reason why I recommend more than once is just so you can get that perfect leverage on whatever you're doing without slamming your knuckles into the concrete.
Or my favorite one, swing sets, where you need a wrench on both sides because you have to torque against each other.
Right.
Of honest to goodness of, and I know it's an old dad joke phrase, take care of your tools and they'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Of this particular crescent wrench is probably about 40 years old.
I was going to say, that looks about my age.
It really is. So I've had it forever. It does a great job. So the must-have item of the week.
You carry it in your car.
It never leaves the tool case in the truck. So as we wander into fall and it's nice and it's pleasant to get outside, let's take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Let's get out there, do a few things, and when we come back, we're going to wander a little deeper into taking care of our critter friends.
Yes.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Is there anywhere in this town where we could buy a shrubbery?
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
All righty.
I'm going to be asking that question soon because my wife totally took out the bushes in the front yard. And
yeah, we got to talk about that here in just a second. So welcome back to News Talk 98.9 at the Brown Refrigeration Studios. Feel free to give us a call or send us a text at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. And, again, pictures. We want to see what your cute little Fido did to your pumpkin patch.
Oh my God!
And we're going to talk about your shrubberies.
Maybe
here
that's
in a moment.
what I should put in the front yard. A pumpkin patch.
Well,
then I can sell pumpkins.
Well, I was convinced for years,
right?
And it was just kind of one of my off color kind of things to tell somebody. They had a bare patch in their yard.
Okay,
grass wouldn't grow there.
Right.
And I said, well, with my gardening experience, all you have to do is put a tomato plant in the middle of the bare patch, and you will have the most lush grass you could ever have will instantly be attracted to the tomato plant. So just kind of
not if it's evil soil.
Well,
I'm sorry. I watch too many horror movies.
I know.
There's always that bare patch where the witch was buried or something. Nothing will grow there. Tomato plants will.
You put a tomato plant in there, you will have lush grass instantly all around it. Kind of welcome to it.
There you go, guys. You want to combat evil? Tomatoes.
Tomato plants. That's all you needed. We've already covered, lots of things, including your roof.
My roof.
And a few other things. I want to also bring up our buddy Mike Serafolian over at Tri-State Interiors, Bathrooms, and Kitchens. Again, good time of the year to... Let's look at the windows. Let's look at the sink. Let's look at those projects you might want to get done.
New cabinets,
It's fall. It's about to be entertainment season. It's about to be the holidays.
Oh, you want to make sure that your kitchen and your bathroom are both key for that Super Bowl party.
Big point.
Yeah.
Because both get used a lot.
A lot.
They both get used a lot. So give our buddies over at Tri-State Interiors, Bathrooms, and Kitchens a call, 901-409-1333. The big thing to them is it doesn't have to be a big project.
No. And Mike definitely wants to get more kitchen involved. He mentioned that the last time he was on Tool Talk.
Yep.
Because, I may not be on the show, but I listen.
Oh, well, good, good. Because, they're also... I love the fact that they don't do a job until all of the stuff is here.
Right.
So you never hear the words, "Oh, your sink hasn't come in yet."
Yeah. It's like, well, we got your new countertop in, but we're going to have about 3 weeks to wait on the sink. We've all had that experience with contractors before. They get all the supplies. They're all prepped and ready. The only way they would start without having everything is if there's something that comes up later on because of an emergency that you caused. Not they caused, that you caused. Well,
yeah. I have a friend right now whose mattress did not get delivered today.
Oh.
Oof. Yeah.
Is it who I think?
Probably. Oh. So, yeah. So,
talk about kicking people when they're down.
Yeah. So, mattress was not getting delivered today. So, they kind of brought that up a few times last night that it wasn't coming in. So, the biggest thing we've been talking about is of our furry little friends.
Yes.
And some of the tool talk things that you might need to be paying attention to. Yeah. Fences, good thing. There's always the old adage, a good fence makes a good neighbor.
Yes, especially when it's 12 feet tall and they can't see you.
And it keeps your little beast where it's loved.
Yes. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up a point that, because we've talked about, the armadillos and they're digging.
Right.
Well, your dogs are diggers too.
Oh,
we've talked about gardens and everything. But one of the things that ends up happening, especially if you and your neighbor share a wooden fence,
right,
is digging under the fence.
Yes.
And I'm sure that everybody's got their own, well, this is what you do. We put down chicken wire.
Right.
Just under the surface enough so that when, the dogs would start, they'd get the wire that it would determine.
They're not making any more progress.
Right. But I've seen people who have, done like old ceramic tile along the outside of the fence, which also takes away from needing to get that close to your fence when you're mowing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always
I've done brick.
You see,
a lot of people have had me do brick around the bottom edge of the fence, and it moves. Yeah. It moves. Your beloved little Fido about 6 to 8 inches away from the fence, and thus making. It's not so much digging under the fence as it is now tunneling and excavating.
Yes.
So it's a little more difficult.
When they realize that they've got to get building permits to get under and get out, they decide I don't have thumbs, I can't fill those out.
They give up sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you've got that really motivated schnauzer.
Yes.
Who is getting out no matter what you do, and they're going to be sitting on the front porch when you get home, and you're like, why, how, what?
I have a friend of mine that I think if it had thumbs, it would drive.
I've got a dog that takes selfies. I mean, it's okay.
Our pets are amazing.
Yes.
It's what they can do and what they cannot do. And the other thing is, never underestimate the pet that watches you closely and how your fence latch works.
Yes.
I've
had a Houdini. He could get out of his kennel. We had to do the double latch kennels. He found a way out of that too.
Yeah, they can get very creative. Last week, I actually had an interesting experience with a retired racehorse.
Is this the
absolutely beautiful horse? But I'm working right here by the fence, and I'm working on actually the gate, and he just walks over nonchalantly.
Yeah,
very quietly. Just barely heard him approaching. And he just stuck his big old head right down in the middle of what I was doing. Like, hey, how you doing? What's this? Is this something I can play with?
Is this one of the 4 that we spoke about off air?
Yes.
Dude, the idea of thoroughbred racehorses thinking that they're big dogs is adorable.
I just walked over, and I mean, it did not act like an equine. I have met dogs.
Yeah.
The same look in their eye. He's watching me do the thing, and
their first question is,
I am sitting here going, "You are actually trying to figure out whether or not when I'm done, you can undo this."
It's the what you got. Is it food? Can I have it? What are you doing? Oh, I can do this.
Exactly. And
and you watch
last one.
You watch that look go through their eyes.
Yes. And I'm sitting here going, you are way too big. You are way too big for me to have to, go wrestle you back into here. I'm not telling your mom you got out while I was working on this fence. Yeah. But just so calm and sedate and friendly. I mean, just beautiful. And I know not everybody has a horse in their backyard, but this guy's got acreage. But I wasn't really expecting an audience to go with this particular repair.
Right.
So, surprise, you know, and so I throw in there, you know, if you've got, and everybody thinks they've got a super pet, and everybody thinks that they're hyper intelligent and communicates with you. But however, I will throw in, there are a few that really, really do.
Yeah.
And they are watching you. And I'm also going to throw in some of our other neighbors we want to keep out. Because
I know which one we're going into now.
We're heading to, and I lump them together. It's raccoons and squirrels.
Yeah.
Raccoons and squirrels. If raccoons ever figure out you know, how to get from the steering wheel to the gas pedal, we are in trouble. They are like little furry people.
We've all seen Gremlins.
Yes.
Now imagine if the Mogwai were as mischievous as the Gremlins, and you got raccoons.
Pretty much got raccoons.
Yeah.
Very intelligent, subtle, not hyper.
No.
They're kind of a fat, roly-poly, chilled and groovy little guy that will, you know, take your house apart.
And love every minute of it.
And be completely clean at the end of the destruction.
Yeah.
Because they're just kind of like that. They're smart. It is getting to be fall. So again, I'm going to point out squirrels and raccoons and skunks are looking for some place to maybe not be quite as outside.
Yeah. They want to camp out in the warm. Because we've all seen the memes out there with the dog in the snow that says, you know, if you're cold, they're cold, bring them inside. Well, the raccoons feel the same way.
Yeah.
The squirrels definitely feel the same way.
And they are more than capable of chewing a hole or pulling a hole open in your house.
And if you thought that your frat boy roommate when you were a teenager was bad, you definitely don't want a skunk in there.
Oh no. Again, a very slow-moving, chilled and groovy critter that you just do not want to upset.
Right.
Because you will regret it. And we, you know, happily in the Mid-South, we are not a rabies area.
Which is
goodness.
a good thing. Except maybe some of the people.
But we got lots of critters, folks. So we'll dive a little deeper into that when we come back. This is News Talk 98.9 coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. And Brandon and I will be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allen.
Like something occluding your ear.
It's sawdust. Just blow.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio.
The incomparable Ron Swanson.
We're coming to you from News Talk 98.9 in Brown Refrigeration Studio. Or you can give us, there's still time. There's still time to give us a call or a text on the Big M Roofing remodeling hotline.
Really short on time. I didn't realize how fast this show went.
Oh
guys.
my gosh, it is just plowing by today. Yeah. So again, we'd love to get a text. We'd love to see what Fido's done to your garden. 901-683-0989. And you were telling me a little earlier that there had been some landscape remodeling at your house.
Yes. So last week while we were doing Geek Tank, my wife decided that she needs to go out and trim the bushes. Now, these bushes in front of our house, they're ugly. We've hated them since we moved in. We've been there for, about 12 years. And she's going to, trim them up, and she gets angry. And says, you know what? No more.
Some hard feelings for the last 12 years came out.
Well, these bushes have never been kind to either of us. Her first ever being stung by a wasp was because they were nesting in these bushes. And of course, there's this weird vine that runs through them that should choke the life out of them, but doesn't. But does like to get hooked around whatever she's trying to trim out of there and pull it back in. So
wow.
So okay. I would almost say that Audrey 2 was in there. Well, I guess it would be 3 since we know what happened to Audrey 2. But yeah, she sends me a text message as we were finishing up with Geek Tank and says, "I've got a mess," and then sends a picture of the yard, and the bushes are about 4 feet closer to the street than they used to be. And right now, as we wait for yard debris pickup, I now have a fort of branches in front of my house. So I could hide a water balloon sniper behind there and like attack my neighbors. I like my neighbors though, so I'm not going to do that. But
wow. Okay. Yeah. So I'm assuming a Sawzall got involved in this.
Well, everybody loves the rotor.
Reciprocating
the reciprocating saw is
it's
it's one of her favorite tools of choice.
I have to confess, ladies and gentlemen, if you've never actually used a reciprocating saw, or you've never used a affectionately known as a Sawzall, if you've never used one of these devices, not the safest tool on the shelf.
But it's so much fun.
Oh, but my goodness, the amount of destruction you can cause in an amazingly short period of time.
Yeah. Just to give them a little more of a heads up on a Sawzall, is I was trying to get rid of a couple of headboards recently.
We were
going to take those and the bed out to the dump, and when the bed wouldn't fit in Alan's truck, he just grabs a Sawzall out of the back of his truck.
Yes.
And cuts the headboards into nice little, 2x2 squares that easily fit inside your recycle bin.
Yes. Yeah. And the bad part is there's a wide variety of blades available.
Yes.
So just yesterday,
right,
as a matter of fact, at one of the facilities I was working with, we had to eliminate a couple of old pieces of furniture.
Okay.
That had the odd crossbar or metal piece in it.
Oh, so you get to go get
you just swap out the wood blade to the, we're going to cut through rebar blade.
Right.
And again, you went from something very large and cumbersome to something that fit neatly through the opening that you needed it to fit through.
One of the greatest things about it is that the blades that Amy uses, they have a red paint on them.
Yes.
So all of my bushes look like they were bleeding. Which, of course, with me and my Halloween decor, that's perfect.
Right.
But I did. I got home, I looked at it, I looked at the mount. She goes, "Can you help me get this to the street?" I was like, "I can, but we have a problem." And she goes, "What?" And I go, "Where are we going to put the spider web for the Halloween decoration now?" Because that's what we used to do.
Right.
There was lights that ran through there, little eyes, and spider webs. And now I have nothing there.
We'll talk.
So,
I'm going to have to come by and see this.
Yeah,
so we're gonna talk about repairing your landscaping, and putting things back into place. But again, what a great time of the year that if you're going to make these type of changes,
now's the time to do it.
Of replacing the bushes in the middle of July, not so good. They're probably going to burn up.
Yeah.
Trying to replace of course, our weather is so strange. We will have a warm spell in the middle of January.
Right.
And, but replacing the bushes in January is bad because then it's going to turn to be 10 degrees for a couple of weeks.
Right.
So it just got motivated, huh?
Yeah. That's the word for it. That's the word I'm going to stick with.
Got motivated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we've wanted to get rid of those bushes forever. I like them because they deter people from getting too close to the house where my back bedroom windows are. She hated them because, there's enough of a gap that something critter-wise could be hiding back there that comes running up at the front porch. So, which, speaking, that's where the cats like to hide. And even though they're kittens, they can still scare you in the middle of the night when you get home.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you're not expecting something furry to come flashing across the front porch.
Right.
Let's see here. In our critter rundown of why you should have your fence in good shape and things to keep out of it, drove by, this can be our last critter of the day, drove by a house just the other day, and there had to have been 30 geese in this front yard.
Let's lump that in though with one other critter that is very prominent here in Memphis, especially inner city, that like to get out of their fences and or coops. And that's the fact that so many people during the pandemic and the lockdown decided it was a good idea to raise chickens.
All right, I'm past my disbelief and went, yes, chickens have now become a thing.
Yes.
And this is where I'm going to point out raccoons, skunks, coyotes, your neighborhood dog, your neighborhood cat.
They all want to eat your chicken.
Pretty much everybody loves chicken.
Yeah.
But be it the neighbor or the neighborhood or the neighborhood critters.
There's a reason why some places here in the Mid-South you can find a JJ's, KFC, Church's, and a Chick-fil-A all on the same strip.
Yes, we do love us some chicken. This is, again, where I'm going to say proper building and proper enclosures make for happier pets, happier, I don't know if these are pets or not. Are they... I don't know. Is this for eggs, or I would assume
it could be for eggs. It could be for for a family feast. It could be for the fact that you want to teach your children responsibility. It doesn't matter. They've gotten out and they're roaming wild. And
wow.
If you think that the geese around here are aggressive, I had a rooster try and run me out of my own yard, and I was still in my truck. I wasn't even out of the truck yet, and it was already like coming up at me. Like, you don't belong here. It's like, it's my mortgage. I will run you over, and then I will eat you. Everything is better deep fried.
I am hardly the one to argue that point with you, sir. I will say, however, geese are, I think, protected, and the chickens probably belong to somebody. Yeah,
that's true. But mass won't come out and pick up, chickens that are in your yard.
No, because if you've ever tried to catch one,
it's not easy.
It doesn't go well for you. That's all I got to say. I really hadn't expected chickens in the mix, but if you do have birds and you would like to keep them alive and keep them in your yard, I would have to say proper enclosing is a big thing here.
Absolutely. And, you can get all the materials you need to build a very stable and structurally sound, chicken coop at your big box stores.
I'll even take that a step further. I've even seen where somebody took like a dog run,
right,
and put it up next to the house and built a little hardware cloth ramp from a back bedroom window directly into the enclosed area, and they filled it with driftwood and hangy things and made little kitty nirvana.
That just sounds awesome.
And this way, and they put like a little restaurant flap across the window, so that the cats could come and go in and out of the window and go into an enclosed and protected area.
And the great thing about those flaps is that when they drop down, it's almost a perfect seal. You don't have to worry about like the bugs or anything like that.
The bugs and the temperature and that type of thing. So I thought that was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen, because now you didn't have to worry about little Fluffy getting out. And since you brought up coyotes, you don't have to worry about somebody turning little Fluffy into a snack.
Right.
So if you're going to have pets and you're going to have animals, walk it through, let's think it through, and definitely, again, send us a picture or two. We want to see what you've come up with. So this is News Talk 98.9, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allen.
Gonna paint our wagon, gonna paint it good. We ain't bragging, we're gonna coat that wood.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Welcome back to Tool Talk Radio. we got to quit laughing at our own bumpers, man.
It's never going to happen.
I know. We step on our own selves every time we come in.
We have the most entertaining producer ever.
We do. We do. We have the awesome Max behind the glass.
We love
there.
Max.
Well, this is News Talk 98.9 coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios, and we just have a couple of minutes left. Literally, it goes by so fast.
Yeah. We didn't even get a chance to talk about our Halloween project that we're working on.
We're going to take a stab at it here in just a second. You know what? Unintentional pun. If you've got any great pictures or text of especially today's topic, since we're talking about taking care of Fluffy and keeping the critters out, feel free to send us a text and some pictures to 901-683-0989 at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline. Yeah. And don't forget, if you need any air needs, call our buddies over at Brown Refrigeration Studios, 901-362-1881. They're not actually at the studios. They're at the HVAC place.
And I'm going to throw something out there that's going to upset Joe, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you guys want to send us a text with your most unique critter encounter in your own backyard.
Oh, yeah.
I will, and you give us your information, I might be able to throw in, 2-3 day free passes to this November's Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention for whichever one tickles us the most, and we'll tell you about that next week on the air.
No, that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
you can do that.
I can do that.
You're kind of in charge of that convention.
I am now. It's like it's weird. Joe's still standing over me, and he's like, "Well, just don't give away everything." I was like, "Okay, I won't give away everything, but I'm going to give away a few things."
I'm going to give away a few things. All right. Well, speaking of that, come see us next Saturday at the Cooper Young Festival.
Yes.
We will be there at the News Talk 98.9 booth.
So doing both, Tool Talk and Geek Tank.
We'll be doing that live. Both live from the Cooper Young Festival. So I'm excited about
this. This will be my first live appearance on location with any of our shows we've done.
It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool. Looking forward to it. If you have any tool questions, come see us. Brandon and I even will venture into landscaping and or cooking.
Well, we'll definitely talk about cooking.
We'll talk about food anytime. So,
that is our zen, is being in the kitchen.
What we do. And speaking of chickens, chickens, geese. All right. Today's basic topic, the basic idea of Tool Talk today has been, it's a great time to get out. Go look at the house. Let's change the HVAC filters. Let's clean up. Let's check the fence. Let's look around the window panes, the caulking.
And repair your grill.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget to repair your grill.
Well, the other thing is make sure...
You've just used it a lot.
Well, we're going to throw in, make sure it's in good repair.
Yeah.
You don't want to set the yard on fire.
No.
And, we all...
Or maybe you do. I don't know.
Well, we also have that turkey season coming up, which is always fun-filled with the number of people that don't know how to deep fry a turkey.
Yeah. And again, it's not just the oiled the turkey and all that. You want to make sure that your propane connectors are key. You want to make sure that they're clean and safe. The threading does go out on those, and then they won't connect to that propane tank correctly, and then you're leaking.
And it can flash
very quickly.
Yeah, and I've even we'll leave it as, let's make sure that's all clean and done.
Yeah.
Also, if you're going to do a fire pit this year, right now is an excellent time to go ahead and let's see if we had any damage from last year. Let's make sure everything's cleaned up. If you've rusted out anything, let's get that repaired or replaced. Yes. Now's a great time to also touch up the paint on the grill, anything like that. So just right now is a beautiful time of the year to just get outside, get a lot of this little stuff done now.
Because you won't melt while you're doing it.
You're not. And let's face it, it's already the middle of September. We just got here.
Where has the year gone?
It is September, folks, which means next month, well, it's kind of Brandon and I's month.
Spooky season.
It's spooky season. Halloween is going to be here, honestly, I can say 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
6 whole weeks. We just left blazing summer a week ago.
Yeah.
And in 6 weeks, we're talking about Halloween.
Yep. Had my first Reese's pumpkin yesterday of the season. And,
okay. Now, I know you've got, you've already demolished your bushes.
Right.
So you and I need to talk landscaping this week anyway.
Yes.
However, I know you love to build and do stuff. So do you have a project you've already started?
Right now, and we've gotten the wood cut and stained for what is my new candy coffin. It is a 3 foot long, 14-inch wide coffin, which we put all of our candy and various goodies for the kids in.
Right.
That way they can get their thing. They don't necessarily have to knock on the door if they don't feel comfortable doing it. But yeah, we decked the whole yard out. But the coffin right now, the replacement coffin, I might say, because our old one was nylon and it was starting to wear. And all the ones now that are made out of that kind of material say indoor use only.
Right.
And my stuff sits outside, so I needed something more sturdy. So we've started an old school. It's not a toe pincher, typical Halloween coffin. This is
You're talking the old-fashioned pine box.
The old pine box, Western motif.
Mm-hmm.
And,
okay.
Right now, like I said, the wood has been cut. It has been stained. We've made the padding for the inside, and we're going to be taking it over to Joe Thorderson's house here in the next week to do some engraving because Joe's got that big laser engraver.
Yep.
Which is awesome. I love that thing. He should totally market that. That right there. More often than he does.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
It is kind of shocking where technology has taken us.
Yeah.
In the tool business these days.
I mean, from 3D printed wood to engraving machines that you used to have to tool that stuff all by hand, and it's
I
amazing.
like the fact that you can just re-dip a tool handle.
It's true. It's
you can buy a can of
buy
the
Plastidip,
and so especially if now I am an antique tool person.
You're an antique, yes. You're an antique person,
yes. But I love the turn of the century tools.
Yeah.
I like the old. I even like the old Sears and Roebuck Craftsman stuff from 1890. It's amazing. The funny thing is, a lot of those tools are still perfectly good and in great shape. They just need
better handles,
new covers on the handles, whatever. And I know this is not a shocking technology shift, but just the ability to take that old pair of gooseneck pliers, re-dip them about 3 times, and build up a new handle. They work just fine.
I'm going to tell you one more thing for that. Even if you're not a tool guy, everybody has something they use that needs a good grip on it.
Yes.
Whether it be a baseball bat, your tools, just a random, grilling tool. Because that Plastidip also can sit next to the grill and not get hot. Where that metal that's shining through your handle right now will burn the heck out of you.
Interesting idea. I had never really thought of dipping the backside of the meat stabber.
I'm a big fan of Plastidip. All of my foam, cosplay type stuff, that we have for our skeletons, which that's a whole nother thing. A lot of that is coated in Plastidip because it seals it, it keeps its shape, and then you can pretty much use it for everything.
Wow. Yeah. I had not really considered Plastidip is quite that versatile, but it's amazing how far it can go.
Exactly.
So, ladies and gentlemen, get out, enjoy the weekend, have a little fun, check the house, check the fence, play with your pets, have a good time. And this has been Brandon and Allan with Tool Talk Radio at the News Talk 98.9. And we're going to wish you a wonderful afternoon and catch us in about an hour at Geek Tank Radio.